Well, guys, as I said, might have to go on from the road, but yeah, uh, scared here. We were trying to look for a place to pull over, and I'm doing this on my phone. My son's sending me messages about puppies. Anyway, so that's always good to have every kind of distraction in the living world. By the way, my name is Carol. I'll be your host for Meeting today. How's everybody doing? Anybody joining me on the meeting thing here? I hope I can see you. Uh, got rush hour traffic. I was hoping to be at a park by now, but it ain't happening. So where I left off last time, we were talking about unconditional other acceptance, unconditional life acceptance, or that unconditional self-acceptance. That's where I had, and then after I read those about those three things, that's where I left off, and we're at irrational and rational beliefs. Beliefs people have about themselves and about the world. Oh, by the way, let's see if there's any chat, because I don't know if y'all can see and hear me. Hi, guys. I don't know if, oh, shoot. Am I still here? I don't know if anybody's going to be able to join me in the meeting room or not. Oh, I guess I can. I've never done this on the phone, guys, and I apologize. It's terrible. Terrible. Terrible, I say. Let's see. Yeah, where do I type in? I can't see. The sun is brutal. Can't see where to type in a response or a chat here. Anyway, I was going to try to invite some people into the meeting room, but I don't know how to do it. I just don't. I need that to go away. Whew. Rational and irrational beliefs. Beliefs people have about themselves and about the world come in two categories. One, rational. They're true, make sense, or are helpful. Irrational. These are untrue, don't make sense, or are harmful. The list below is some common types of irrational beliefs associated with negative feelings that fuel addictive behaviors. Do you recognize any? Demands. Must, have to, and should beliefs are absolutes and put unrealistic demands on you, others, and life. Have you ever said, I have to succeed at this? Yeah. Just as soon as recently, they should not have done that to me. My life must be better than this. All of these rigid demands will lead to emotional distress when they're not met, or we believe they won't be. Overgeneralizations. Drop me off the park. Drop back. Drop me off the park. I'm in the middle of a live stream. I don't want to lose. I don't want to drop the signal. We should make it. Hi, Christy. Hi, guys. Again. Okay. Here we go. Let's see. I don't know how to let anybody in here. Okay. Here we go. Is anybody else? Anyway, I'm on the road. We're arguing about a place to pull over. It's really hard to be trying to navigate and read from a book. I should have went through a little bit better. I had a doctor's appointment in town, and it's about an hour to get there and an hour back. And so there wasn't going to be any other, it was either cancel or do this. And Steve, hopefully you can see the chat. I can't see it.
I can.
Okay.
I can't type in it unless I get on my phone, but I can see it.
Okay.
Anik, Cosmic, Christy, Megan are all here.
Okay. Hi, guys. Apologies. Overgeneralizations. Only, always, and never beliefs are also absolutes. All or nothing. Boy, that's what I lived in. Like, there wasn't anything else when I was in an active addiction or just at that age when I was in it. There just was no gray areas. It was all or nothing. It was either or, but nothing, no any kind of compromise in between. And I wonder if that is a contributing factor to where I got to, in active addiction.
I think on some level it certainly is.
Yeah, I think so too. There has to be a connection.
Yeah. Seventh Son is here.
Hi, Seventh Son. Hi, guys. Yeah, it's Monday. So I'm not going to drive around anywhere else, so you can drop me off here and go somewhere else if you want to. That's fine. All right. With no room for options. Did you ever say you always screw up? My addictive behavior is the only way I can cope, or things never go the way I want them to. Believing absolutes eliminates any room for variation. Life is filled with gray areas and unknowns. Even if you'd rather frustration and tolerance. Yeah, I got a lot of that still.
Yeah.
I can't stand, I can't handle, and I can't deal with beliefs are also generally false. Have you ever said, I cannot stand this aggravation, I cannot handle the pressure of my new job, or I cannot deal with your nagging? Truth is, you do stand, handle, and deal with, although not always in healthy ways. Awfulizations. I like that. It's as a word. Worst thing ever. Horrible, awful, and adjectives ending in est. Meanest, laziest, cruelest, nastiest, etc.
Stinkiest.
It's called hyperbole.
Beliefs exaggerate how bad things are. For example, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. She's the cruelest boss on earth. That driver is absolutely horrible. Is what happened to you really the worst that's ever happened? How many times have you applied that very belief to unpleasant situations in your life? Awfulizing may have been one of your excuses to use. Irrational and unrealistic beliefs tend to come easy to us. Take time to examine what you're thinking and ask yourself, is this belief really true? What is the evidence that supports it? What is a more balanced belief for me to hold about this situation? Oh my. Alrighty, so we've got an exercise here of disputing irrational beliefs. You can use this tool to examine any belief that may be harmful if you act on it. By the way, can you hear me okay, Steve?
Yeah, it's a little garbled, but that's because it's not your studio mic, but it's audible.
Okay, and decipherable?
Yeah.
Okay. An irrational belief, IB, is something that's not true. It's unrealistic, and there is no evidence to support it, or it doesn't make sense, it's not logical, or it's harmful. It won't help you get what you want for yourself in the long run if you act on it. A rational belief, RB, is true, it's realistic, and there is evidence to support it, or it makes sense, it's logical, or it's helpful. It helps you get what you want in the long run if you act on it. Disputing irrational beliefs. You can dispute an IB by turning it into a question and then answering it. Your answer will probably be an RB. Example, I will just have one drink and then quit. That's an irrational belief. Question the IB. Will I just have one? Answer. I may, but probably not. I never have just one. I'll just get drunk again, get in a fight, get arrested, and my wife will likely leave me. RB. Example. IB. This urge is unbearable and I can't stand it. Question. Is this urge unbearable? Answer. No. It's really unpleasant, but it won't kill me. I can stand it, therefore it's not unbearable. And that's an RB. Using the table in figure 5.1, identify some of your IBs that lead to emotional distress and wanting to use or act out. And I didn't get a chance to do a screenshot, and I don't know if I would have known how to put it up here anyway on my phone. Irrational.
You know what I like about this part of the curriculum is that they give you a rational belief. They give you an answer. It's not like certain groups where they just say, oh, you're being irrational. They give you a rational. Hey, there she is.
Hey, Christy. Okay.
She's locked up.
So I didn't get a chance to do a chart of the figure 5.1 disputing irrational beliefs example. So the IB is I always fail. The question for that is, do I always fail? The RB is I have done some useful things in the past, so I don't and I won't always fail. I'm totally worthless. Have I never done anything worthwhile? I've done some worthless and useless things, but because I have had success at things, I cannot judge myself as a totally worthless person. My partner treats me unfairly. He is a bad person. Does my partner treat me unfairly? Is he a bad person? That's the questioning of the IB.
He's
and the
smirking behind you.
He has done unfair things, but he also has done many things to help me, so I can't judge him as a totally bad person. No one's perfect. IB, nothing good ever happens to me and never will. The question, does nothing good ever happen to me? The love and support of my family and friends are all good things that continue to happen to me. So those are just some examples. So every bit of self-talk that puts us in that downward spiral that I'm just a POS, you know.
That's moving your boundary one more step to using.
100%. And so, you know, I think it's a valid thing if we decide to go ahead and question that. Not everything we think we have to, you know, latch onto emotionally. You know, thoughts come, thoughts go. Emotions come, emotions go, for that matter. Thoughts. Okay, so those are some examples of disputing irrational beliefs. What are some of your beliefs that commonly come up when feeling distressed or when you have an urge to use? Write them down, then turn them into questions. Then answer the questions, develop more helpful beliefs. My irrational belief, I can't cope with stress without using. Questioning my IB, can I cope without using? It may be hard, but it won't kill me and it will get easier. Strategy, change your vocabulary, change your feelings. Because your feelings are influenced by your thoughts, you can change your feelings and behaviors by changing your thoughts. You can change your thoughts by changing the words you use in your thinking. The difference that changing just one word makes might surprise you. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes. These figures show examples and include space to write your own. Instead of saying or thinking must, say or think really want, prefer, or choose to. Instead of saying or thinking should, really want, prefer, or choose to. Have to want to, can't, to choose not to, ought to, really want, prefer, choose to, awful, not great, undesirable, unbearable, unpleasant, can't stand, don't like, always, often, all, a lot. statement exchange. Instead of thinking I must be perfect, say or think I really want to do well. You should not do that. Say or think I prefer you not do that. Instead of saying or thinking you ought to help, say or think I would appreciate your help.
To hell with your help. Sorry, y'all.
That's quite all right.
I had to look at him during that one.
Steve, we had several moments like that yesterday with my partner on, and there were some times I couldn't even breathe. I was laughing so hard.
I was laying down changing my wheel sensors on my car, and then I had to change a spark plug and a coil pack because I had a misfire. And then I worked on a four-wheeler with 6 batteries. It's an electric four-wheeler, and I never want to see one of those again now.
I don't ever want to see one of them at all.
That's a lot of batteries for an electric four-wheeler. My gosh.
Yeah, they're like $10,000.
Yeah, and where do you get out in the middle of the woods and find a plug-in station?
Yeah. You know, I don't know what the range is. Maybe it's like 8 miles or something. I mean, it's enough to get around a small property and do stuff, but you know, and you won't have to put gas or smell like gas, but I don't know. The guy who brought it to us to fix, you know, I guess he got his usefulness out of it. So
I'll take
Instead
the
of
gas.
saying, huh?
yeah,
Oh.
gas is
I'll
better.
take the gas.
Oh. Instead of saying or thinking I can't stand this feeling, say or think I don't like feeling this way. Instead of saying or thinking you're a bad person, say or think I don't like your behavior. This urge is awful. This urge is unpleasant. This situation is unbearable. This is not the best way. Everything is terrible. Things are not the way I want them to be. This happens every time. This frequently happens. I need your love. I want your love. I'm a bad person. I behaved badly. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how often have we, you know, done something terrible and just decided that we were a POS as a result?
Or
Which isn't true. We just did a bad thing.
or your spouse. They just did a bad thing and you call them a horrible person.
We call each other different names.
That's for a different live stream.
The late night version. I am a fail. Instead of saying or thinking I'm a failure, say or think I made a mistake or I failed at something. So emotional vocabulary exchange. Instead of saying or thinking I am anxious, I feel concerned. I am depressed, say or think I feel sad. Unless you really are depressed, which I have actually had that happen where just like it's like physiologically it is not possible for me to do anything.
Yeah.
And so that needs to be addressed if that's what, you know, is really what's going on. But there needs to be a distinction between depressed and sad. You know?
Absolutely.
I think
But
depression
I think
comes
that
from the inside and sad comes from the outside.
Yeah. And you know, like I said, depression for me anyway is physiological. I feel it. I literally feel it in my body, and there's nothing I can do about it except take medication. You know,
sad reaches you from this way. Depression's in here.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Sadness is an emotion. Depression is a medical condition.
Yes, it is.
So, you know, they really are two different things. You know, everybody gets sad. not everybody deals with depression, and depression is real.
Yeah.
And there are things that, and it needs to be medically treated. So I think that we need to, really make that distinction, because emotions can get you down for a few days, but you're able to overcome it. Depression, you really need to, seek additional help for that.
Lemmy says hi, all. Started my new job today.
Yay,
Congratulations, Lemmy. That's great. How'd it go?
That's awesome.
How was your first day?
Better not be depressed.
Instead of saying or thinking, I'm so angry, say or think, I feel annoyed. Well, what if you really are angry, though? See, some of this
Well,
stuff.
again, yeah, I mean, anger is a real emotion and it's valid, and we do feel it. And annoyed is a whole different thing. You get annoyed when you stub your toe. You get angry when somebody berates and belittles you and makes you feel awful. Those are two very different things. And again, I think this comes from, I understand where they're getting at, but I think you also have to really look at, what do you know to be true? I mean, if you're angry, that's okay. If you're annoyed, that's okay. But you're going to respond differently, and both are acceptable as long as you do it in a healthy way.
Well, and maybe they're talking about prolonged anger. I don't know, where you have just made yourself in disabled. You can't
like
do
my
anything.
wife was talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
Bitter is maybe a better word.
Yeah, maybe so.
Anger turns into bitterness, because anger is fine to feel. Bitterness is a whole different thing. Again, annoyed, angry, bitter, those are three very different emotions, and you handle them in very different ways. And one can definitely progress to the other. But violence is never the answer.
No.
Don't ever get violent.
An emotional vocabulary exchange for I'm guilty, I feel remorse, I feel regret, I'm so ashamed, I feel disappointment. I think that needs to be addressed a little bit more in depth, because shame is something that's hard to shake once it's set in.
Oh.
Well, and I mean, if you think about it, shame can be a way to heal as well, because when you feel shame for something that you've done, again, it's a very valid feeling. It's real. And it allows you to look at, how did I get to that point? Why did I choose to do that thing? Why did I put myself in that situation? And you can heal from that. So I do think, I agree with you that it needs to be addressed a little deeper. But again, shame is something that everybody feels, and it can be real.
And sometimes it's not always a bad thing. Like you feel ashamed of something that you did that was unnecessary and hurtful and harmful.
Yeah.
Was that a Harley?
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
It does.
Yeah, it's a Harley.
Got out for his daytime ride in his Harley. Just got off work.
Most of the stuff I feel shame and guilt about is stuff with my kids and my wife. And my wife remembers everything. But if I talk to my kids about it and say, hey, do you remember the one time where I really lost my cool and said something or did something I shouldn't have? They're like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. So that's a bit of a relief.
Yeah.
Each person has an emotional response to things. And as much as, if you look at introspection of trying to overcome something when you're trying to grow as a person, these emotional memories are as fresh as a wound from a power saw. Even though it's been 10 years ago, if you connect with it, if a moment comes and you're really connect back with that moment. It's almost as fresh as the day it happened. Whereas a
Yeah.
physical wound, there's hardly a scar left.
Mhm.
And that's why they hit so hard and they're so hard to get past.
Yes.
Anik,
Yeah.
Anik says shame isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah,
It's
I
an
agree.
appropriate
Annie.
response. At times, psychopaths are unable to feel shame.
That's right. I
Right.
100% agree, Anik. Definitely.
You know, I was telling Carol, I kind of have cerebral psychopathy or a psychopath. I mean, I have emotions and I have everything, but I usually have a mental response first to make the appropriate action. I don't have an emotion connected to something as my first reaction. So I seem not to have an emotional interaction with things, and because really I'm just analytical until after it's over. You know, there are things that get me mad really fast, but I don't have a sadness or an anger or another thing at first. I'm still just watching things like I'm watching the movie of my own actions until afterwards. I don't know if that makes sense.
Steve,
Oh,
it does.
It makes wonderful sense.
I am with you, like, because I'm that way. Like, if my first response is emotional, oh, it has gone so sideways. Like, you better watch out, because Hobbit Rage is like fixing to turn into Gollum and Precious here.
Yeah.
But my first response is always logical. It is always, like, I tell this story a lot. My husband bought me a BMW, convertible BMW. He was so excited to give it to me. And my first response was, we're living in Alaska. This is in Colorado. How are we going to get it? You know, we've never even seen it. You've not test driven. How much is the insurance? You know, and it really just took all the wind out of his sails. And I felt really bad. I felt really bad because you could just see his emotion go. And then I was like, oh, you know, but that's always my reaction. So when my first reaction is to become hysterical, like it's bad. So I know exactly how you feel, Steve. But that's not a bad thing either, because when your first response is to look at the situation and say, all right, what's really going on here? You know, you need that calm when everybody around you is being emotional. You need someone who's grounded. And
sorry,
you know,
but I walked out on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but I've been told that too. Like, you know, well, you don't have an emotional response. Well, not at first.
Well, like you said, in the corporate world and in the job world today, you're not afforded any of that. You're only afforded what are the appropriate set of variables to continue working and to remain in this relationship. Everything else is not on the table. It's just not offered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and running a farm is like the complete opposite of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well, it has its own dictates.
No, right, but you don't have to worry about offending a 12-day-old dog.
No,
right,
that's true.
Well, and coworkers notice we know what each of us can respond to.
Right,
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I could have used your help yesterday, Steve.
Yeah, I should have been there, but I was face down on the ground, working under my Toyota 4Runner, and then I went to town to put all those batteries back together. We were really tired when we were done. I'll just say that.
He was, woo.
I was cross-eyed.
Oh, two of us did not click the like button.
No, he said but.
Yeah, he said but. But.
Hey, I clicked the like button.
You said but.
I don't know about clicking the like but I clicked the like button.
I am one of them. There.
I wish I had some of these strangely bitter sugar-free mints to share with you guys.
Trigger free or sugar free?
Sugar free.
Sugar-free.
I thought you said trigger free. I'm like, give me some of those.
Yeah. Indeed.
Oh, no wonder.
7th. You're good.
I can't see the chat, unfortunately.
Dental defense. No wonder. It's like toothpaste mints. That's why they're awesome. But it's candy, and I'm vulnerable.
And Anik says, wait a minute. Am I to understand that all three men here are named Steve?
Absolutely.
We've had as many as 5 Steves in this meeting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, we got another one. Hey, did you know about that?
Yeah, Lenny's a
4
Steve.
Steves in here right now, all 4 of us.
4 Steves. And then Steve Hartman, your friend, comes on.
Lemmy is Steve.
Yeah, Lemmy is Steve.
This is just
That's
getting
a quintet.
ridiculous.
That's a
4
quad.
Steves.
Quintet.
We need to make a shirt that says the 5 Steves and what was it? 5 Steves in a chick flick, or we need to come like
5 Steves.
5 Steves and a chick flick.
5
5
Steves
Steves of recovery.
5 Steves and the empaths.
That's the impasse. That's right.
There you go. We should make shirts. I'm telling y'all, like merch them.
Okay, this isn't kosher.
No, don't.
The 5 Steves and the bees.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Lemmy is. Hey, did you know about that?
About what?
He's a Steve.
Yeah, Lemmy and Steve are the same person, apparently.
Yeah, they are.
Or no, Lemmy and hey, did you know about that? I mean,
let me see that.
What did I know? Did I know about the 5 Steves?
Yeah.
No, Lemmy's got 2 accounts. So he's got Lemmy the pacifist, and then he's got Hey, did you know about that? Those are both Lemmy, and he's watching.
Oh, okay.
Animals, but he's the same person. And it really is funny, Anik. I feel bad. Everybody's a Steve.
I get called Stefan a lot because of the PH.
I spell mine the same way, and I get it and I hate it.
I do too. I hated it in school, being called Stefan, but every Stefan I met actually spelled their name with 2 F's.
Yeah?
Yeah. And my last name was Molsky when they screwed it up, and that was even.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Stefan Molsky, that sucked.
Yeah.
My handwriting was terrible, so I got called a lot of weird stuff. Schumann. I got called Schumann a lot because my handwriting was terrible. Stefan Schumann.
My daughter's name is Dally, Dally. Her teachers used to call her Daly. They called her Dolly. She finally got so mad. She's like, it is Dally, Dally. You're a teacher. How do you get this wrong?
All in front of 2 consonants is the short sound. That's
the answer to that is unfortunately is English.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and she was like 9 years old when she said that. So I had to be like, sweetie, listen, I love your passion in life. Don't lose it. But let's direct it appropriately. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. That wasn't actual inappropriate.
Right.
She'd been in the class a long time.
Well, yeah, she was in the class. I'm like, let's be respectful, correct him after class. Maybe don't stand up and sass him. She was sassy. I got, oh, Lord, my favorite story about her, this is off topic, then we can get back on topic. She is very empathetic and very compassionate. And when she was in kindergarten, one of her friends had cerebral palsy, and she was in a wheelchair, and she couldn't really talk very well or anything. And the first day of kindergarten, Dally came home and she goes, what do I do? How do I interact with this little girl? And I said, well, she's just like you. She would want a friend, so become friends. So they became friends, and Dally would push her around in her wheelchair and everything like that. Well, Dally left the little girl in her wheelchair to go get a ball because they were going to play ball. Well, this little boy came up and started throwing a ball in this little girl's face, like who was in a wheelchair, who could not like defend herself or knock the ball away or anything. So my little girl, who has beautiful olive skin and long eyelashes and chestnut hair and long pigtails, comes over and like lays this kid out. I mean, she punched him in the face, like, and she was down on the ground, like going to town. The teacher had to pull her off, had to drag the kid up. Both of them had to go into the principal's office. I was in PTO at the time, and I had a really good relationship with the principal. I went and I picked Dally up from school that day. She had a lollipop, like she was really proud of herself. I didn't know what was going on. So I get to PTO, and the principal's like, did Dally tell you what happened today? And I'm like, no, she was just really excited about this lollipop. And he goes, well, she got into a fight on the playground, and my jaw hit the ground. And I'm like, what? And he goes, well, she was defending, and then he said who she was. And he goes, so I wasn't going to really get after her for that because she was defending someone who could not defend themselves.
Well, there's logical thinking right there.
Yeah. And he goes,
thank goodness.
So I gave her a lollipop for defending someone who couldn't defend themselves, but told her that, she couldn't just throw haymakers at the little boys on the playground. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that is just who she is. Like, she has no problem throwing down, like none. And I'm like, I don't know where this came from in you, the sassiness, but like, just, try to figure it out. But she was in a dress and everything. Like, she didn't even care. She was like checking dirt in his face. Like,
it's hard when it's merited like that not to.
Yeah.
Fighting like it's a 12-round fight.
Oh, and she was fighting dirty too. Like she was not. Yeah, no, man. I'm like, I don't know where you got this from, but go you. And that wasn't the only time. Like, she really would. Especially, defend.
Was that boy in her? Must not have been in her class.
No, they were. He was just being a little bugger.
Yeah.
About he was just mean.
Bugger.
Well, I can't say, what I really want to say.
He learned that day.
Yeah, I bet he didn't do that again.
No. I mean, yeah.
Seventh son says, chip off the old mama block.
That's right.
I told my mom that story, and she goes, well, I remember another little girl who got in some fights defending her brothers. So maybe don't go so hard on her.
Right.
But in one way, it's one of those instances where as a parent, you're like really proud of your kid because you're like, all right, man, she's got it. And on the other hand, you kind of have to be like, look, take him behind, wait until the teacher's not looking.
Yeah. And she probably wasn't fighting in her same weight class either. She was probably fighting a couple weight classes down.
Yeah. So, yeah. Like Christy went through it. I mean, I fight real dirty. I'm just going to say, if you get in a fight with me, it's not going to be fair.
Well,
no, I don't play by rules.
in the 70s, we got to be healthily rough on the playgrounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
We came in so dirty from recess. I remember.
Today they wouldn't get the benefit of being given the credit for defending somebody who couldn't defend themselves. I don't think. That doesn't seem to be the way it works now.
That's way too woke.
There's no logic to it, There's no decency to how that's handled now.
I wouldn't be a teacher today or a principal, especially for $1 million.
Well, if people feel that way, that's how come we got sucky, not professors, principals. You
Right.
know?
You know,
My cousin is a teacher, and she's an elementary school teacher. And she said that there are kids in her school that identify as cats, and they literally brought in like litter boxes. I'm like, at that point, I'm seriously considering homeschooling my kid. If that's
Oh my
like,
God.
I mean,
Yeah.
because teachers should not have to deal with
No.
that. Like, whatever you allow in your home is fine. But, when you're in school and in a public environment, I mean, I think you should be taught rules and behaviors and expectations. And
Do they use the litter boxes right there in class?
They're in the bathrooms, but yes. And they drink out of saucers. Yeah, it is and there's nothing they can do because of the whole, how do you identify culture, which I'm not saying anything sideways on that. I'm not turning it into that, but because of that, yeah, the kids have the right to figure out who they are, and that's part of it. Apparently,
if we required game systems to have a license and an ID, just like driving a car, and a kid had to log in with their ID, maybe their RFID or something like that, then every so often on PS4, PS5, depending on what grade level you had achieved based on your ID, it would be time for you. The game would go into interactive lesson mode, and it would be history or math or science, and you couldn't get out of that until you accomplished it because of your game ID license that you're required for your game.
I like
These
that.
kids could graduate by the 5th grade. They'd have a 12th grade reading level.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Because they want to play that game.
Yeah.
Megan said a content creator on YouTube here passed away recently from an overdose. He was a big part of my recovery. It's been painful to lose him in that way. Sorry, I haven't hung around much lately. Megan,
Wow.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, Megan. I had no idea.
And the recovery community, that's really
that's devastating.
Yeah.
That's a devastating blow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So were you able, Megan, to process that? Are you still processing that? Are you doing okay? That's loss is hard. It doesn't matter if it's a content creator on YouTube that helps you with your recovery, an animal, a family member, it is, those emotions are real, and they're painful, and they're hard. And
so where would you guys classify that as, depression or sadness?
Well, I think it depends
sadness.
I think it depends on where Megan's at. I mean, it could start off as sadness and then flip her into depression.
At least a loss. You have to classify it as a loss.
Yeah.
That's a whole.
Can one of you guys copy and paste the link that I put in the Facebook Messenger and you're a moderator. I don't think I've made you a moderator yet, Christy. Did you post that link? If she wants to come in and talk about it.
Megan, she says, I know, right? I feel so sorry for his family. I am still processing too. I didn't know him too personally, but hung out in his live streams. I would feel the same if I lost any of this team too. Depression, grieving, and reflecting on my own journey. Well, Megan, you still had that connection. That was still a real connection for you. So it doesn't matter that you didn't know him personally. You can have real friends. You can make real connections over the internet. And I mean, if you're going somewhere and you're watching someone talking and listening to them every day, those connections become real. Depression, grieving, and reflecting my own journey. And the grieving process is really, it's It's a difficult process because it's all over the place. You feel one thing one day and then something else another day.
You can feel all 5 of the stages of grief at once in grief.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
for posting that. I was able to pull up the chat. No, I meant to come into the meeting room, Steve. That one that I sent in the messenger with the meeting room.
Okay.
Carol likes to make it complicated if she can.
Well, I was going to say, Megan, I love that you're reflecting on your own personal journey because
I'm gonna do it in Messenger.
No, I need it put in the chat. I need the link put in the chat.
Okay.
Be able to come into the meeting. Anybody that needs to come in and
I knew you'd
talk
make it
about
hard.
anything.
I
Well,
don't
if
know
I could do it, I would. I don't seem to.
Can you do it on my phone?
Maybe. No, not unless you log into this live chat.
No, my phone
I
is
don't
the
even think I'm
hotspot.
on. Well, I'm the host though, so maybe I could.
So
I don't know what's going to happen if I close this out though. I mean,
she said I'm too shy to come on right now, but looking to build up strength here soon. Thank you guys so much.
No worries. I just thought maybe if you needed to talk, we would make that option available. I'm so sorry that you're going through that. That would really mess with me. I freely admit that.
That's going to become a reality more and more.
Well, if the sobriety was easy, there would be more of us.
Yeah.
Well, and what I wanted to say was there's an option to come on and not have your camera on for anybody that wants to come in and talk but doesn't want to be seen, just so that you guys know that's an option out there.
Yeah, you just don't click on the camera icon is all and make sure the audio's on. But so that's also an option. I just wanted to make that available if it was needed.
Yeah.
And,
I'm gonna still try.
I'm sorry, Megan.
I'm gonna still try.
Lemmy says, I'm about a month away from my anniversary of meeting most of you, and I'm really not looking forward to that date.
What do you mean?
Losing good people that way really shows the deadliness of the disease, and we think about the ones.
Okay. I'm with you. I apologize. I'm with you now, Lemmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And sadly, it doesn't have to be the disease. I mean, those are consequences of existence that can sometimes happen.
Well,
right.
I mean, we're at a big teeter-totter.
It's understandable when somebody does relapse. It's understandable. And it's heartbreaking when it turns out to be deadly. The sad thing about relapsing, even if it's not like a fence situation, if you go back to what you were actually doing, you run the risk of, if you've been clean for a little while, your system before built up a tolerance to what you were doing. And if you've been clean for a few weeks or longer, then you've got a clean system with no immunity buildup to that substance. And that's a lot of that's how also people can also OD.
Yeah.
Do we know that it was a relapse or was it just a health issue?
It was an overdose, she said.
So Lemmy said, this is Lemmy. He said, December 20th of 2022, my brother was given fent. He said they robbed him.
Oh.
No.
That's tough.
Oh,
and Brent, that close to Christmas. It's amazing to me. I know this is nowhere. I'm not trying to put myself on the same level, but I lost my dog of 13 years on Thursday, and it has been really hard for me. And I think if I struggled with addiction, I could really see how something like that could throw you back into that, because I went for a couple days and I didn't eat. I just didn't eat. And I thought, oh, okay, hold on. I got to eat something. So I'm gaining an understanding from everybody about how triggering some of this really can be, and I'm learning how it feels inside of you. Like, even though that's not my story, like I can see how that could happen, because I always kind of tried to be like, well, what would cause that? And this kind of made it feel that way. And so I can see some of this, and I'm just so sorry for both of you, because that's awful. I mean, to be given fentanyl and then
there's and there's nothing that anybody can say to help.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
Right.
But just knowing that we hold in our hearts, hopefully we'll, and there's nothing that anybody can say to help.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
Right.
But just knowing that somebody got the thing playing in the background.
Yeah, I think somebody.
I do.
That's interfering.
I was me.
Okay.
I was trying to paste. Did it show up?
Yeah,
I think it did.
yeah, but I wasn't. But I was going to find they didn't want to come in, and but anyway, anytime, and you don't have to wait for a meeting if you need to talk at all. I know that you know how to contact me on Facebook, and if you need my phone number, I'll make sure you have it.
Yeah, I mean, this is
That's terrible of someone doing that. That's
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
thankful that my kids are grown and good, but it really makes me worry for my grandkids.
I mean, it's 100,000 people a year dying from fentanyl
Yeah.
overdoses.
Yeah.
When it's administered as a drug, it's a patch that goes on the body for 3 days. And every action with that patch has to be signed off by 2 nurses.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It has to be administered by 2 nurses, and it has to be changed and destroyed, the old patch, when they put on the new one. When usually they're on a lifetime pain maintenance by the time they're on fentanyl. They're on pain management. Hydrocodone and Oxycontin wasn't working, so now they're given a fentanyl patch. And it's double pasted on their front or their back or somewhere, and it'll have a double patch over it. And it'll be initialed by 2 nurses, and it'll be administered, and it'll be removed and destroyed by 2 nurses all the time. And what happens to a lot of people, I guess they take the old patch. That's happened. I had a nurse friend who did overdose, and I don't know if it was, but I'm wondering if it wasn't fentanyl or not earlier this year. And the sad thing is she was probably at least 9 or 10 years younger than me. And I thought, in a new good place from having struggled. And I guess there still was just so many challenges for that to happen.
I heard Tommy this morning talking about they take those fentanyl patches and chew on them.
Probably so, yeah. And like, there was I guess it was a railroad car sized shipment of fentanyl seized in 2014-15. And the amount of fentanyl in that was enough to overdose every man, woman, and child in America.
Right.
Something like 11 billion doses. I mean, just in one rail car, because it only takes the amount of fentanyl that you can put as a full stop or a period at the end of a sentence. That's how much it takes to OD when it's in its raw form. So it's really dangerous, and it ought to be a reason why to make a very absolute set of all 50 states and territories method of how you enter through the border into the country. And these are laws and applications that go full around. Airports everywhere. to me, that's a reason alone, because at 100,000 deaths a year, that just fentanyl, that's big.
You know, changing changing course just a hair here.
Somebody commented on that. Megan did. Yeah.
This morning when I woke up, I was thinking about, alcohol withdrawals, and like people that get the shakes that they've gone too long without a drink. And I thought, something that can do that to somebody, I should never, ever support in any way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also another tool in my belt, I feel like, for not drinking.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't realize that it was so poisonous. Like I knew it wasn't, healthy, but I didn't realize that alcohol withdrawals could kill you. I didn't realize that it could affect your heart the way it affected Steve's heart. It really makes you see things differently.
Yeah.
It really does. And especially when you personally know and love people who have struggled with that, it really makes it look different when somebody hands you a drink menu at a restaurant,
Yeah.
like you really look at that differently.
Yeah.
Well, and I believe it's important to not shame or make that person feel like it's a moral.
No, I mean, me personally, giving my money to people that sell things that do that to people.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not about shame somebody who's in active addiction with anything.
No,
I
didn't mean
that would be just pure straight up. That would be straight up stupidity, because who am I to talk?
What are you going to do with all those old purple Seagram's bags?
I don't have any of those.
Sad to say, I used to get them from a bartender and use them to wrap microphones with when we ran sound.
Oh, yeah.
I went off topic, but a drinker will know what that purple Seagram's bag is.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Crown Royal. That's what I mean. Yeah, the Crown Royal.
I knew what you meant.
Crown Royal.
With a yellow string.
Yeah, I couldn't afford that top shelf stuff.
Started my journey this year. I didn't struggle with alcohol in the past. I originally stopped my drugs of choice. I had 5 months sober in May. I ended up relapsing because I would still.
That's all there is.
Okay.
I would still continue to have the occasional drink, and ended up relapsing in the summer. It's safer not to do any of it. Some can, and it works. Some can't, I suppose. The one thing, this sticks out to me that my dad always said to me was, take away the temptation. And it meant anything. When I was younger, I thought that was like the stupidest advice I've ever heard. But as I get older, I realize, and I think, Megan, that is a beautiful part of your journey, to understand that about yourself and to know that, this is just something I cannot be around. When I was growing up, my parents would not eat at restaurants that served alcohol. Like if it was Applebee's or a bar and grill, we would not go in there. Like absolutely would not go in there. And it's beautiful of you that you know that about yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that is a lot of healing and understanding and personal growth on your part.
Yeah.
Really.
I want Megan to know that summertime was a huge trigger for me. About driving by and seeing a 4th of July party out there, everybody holding their beer cozies and one handed and playing volleyball with the other hand, and it was. But summertime was a trigger for me.
Well, I quit smoking December 3rd, 2005. And I can still taste it or smell it sometimes. It's in your brain. It's a connected thing. It's funny.
Once you smell metabolized alcohol on somebody's breath, it makes you want to puke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Seventh says, twice in the last 4 months, I put myself in the hospital falling off the wagon.
Oh.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
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 It's
How are
not
you
easy.
doing with that now? Are you feeling better with that? Megan says, thanks for the kind words, guys, and listening to my oversharing. You're not oversharing.
No,
Helps.
there's no such thing as oversharing here.
And Steve, you're so right about the summer. And then Megan said, seventh, wow, hugs.
Yeah.
You know, I never realized how big or how little things could trigger things in people. You know, Carol, when you read, and this affected me, and in a good way, when you read how somebody hearing the sound of a can open could trigger them to want to drink. I think you read it out of the Smart Book. I drink, so the cans that I drink are water. I drink canned water because you can recycle the cans and it's got a little carbonation. And after you read that, I made it a point to never crack open a can on air. I was like, I will never do that as long as I'm ever on the air, because it is something that I never thought of. You know, I never thought that could trigger somebody. And so now I make it a point that I have everything like open or poured or, you know, whatever. But it's amazing. And I think more people should be made aware of things like that, because I think with an awareness becomes a compassion.
Steve, I'm going to call you later after the boat. I'm going to call you later, okay?
Let me, Steve.
Seventh son.
Yeah.
Well, hang in there, seventh son.
Yes.
Please hang in there. And just know that we're here.
Maybe before the boat, even.
Your wedding anniversary is coming up, huh? Is it today? Is that today?
Sometime.
And Steve, I just want to say to you, I'm so proud of you for showing up here.
Yeah.
And showing up in the boat and being here, because that takes courage. You know, and not only does it take courage, but it shows that you are committed to yourself and being healthy, and that you are, you know, that you're making it a point to be somewhere where you're safe and supported.
Yeah.
You know,
you're talking about seven, son.
Even if it is a chick flick.
Well, you know, it's a safe place to talk about these things that we don't have any other place.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He says the 9th.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Zelda's on here. She says, hi, all. I'm so glad I never liked alcohol. Drugs were hard enough. Problem with alcohol for some is that it's easy to get and legal and acceptable. Yes, Zelda, I agree.
Yeah.
And it's almost biblically supported.
Almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be in so many communities with easy access.
I can't read that.
Megan says, yes, you're so right. And the advertisements and comments people make about drinking, it's so normalized and even pushed.
Yeah, but they don't show them with the spousal abuse and the hangovers, and
we're talking about gun laws and things all the time on TV, when in reality, we're having more alcohol advertisements than we ever did in my childhood.
Yeah.
So many more hard liquor advertisements, and these watered up flavored iced tea drinks that are nothing but a way just to deliver a delivery mechanism for alcohol.
Well, yeah,
It's obscene.
up until the 90s, liquor advertisements weren't legal.
Right.
They're probably killing more people than firearms. In fact, sadly enough, even with all of the shooting with semi-automatic military rifles,
Can't hold a candle to drugs,
to pistols,
and fentanyl, and
pistols are where the real killing are with guns.
and
sadly.
alcohol.
It's
Alcohol
not
is classified as
it's not with rifles or automatic weapons. Only in a real battle do automatic weapons kill the amount of people they deliver that they can kill. Most people, it's not even close, even if you put all of the mass shootings since the turn of the century last. They don't compare to a pistol
It's
deaths every year. It's like 100 or 200, 300 to 1.
I think addiction has surpassed gun violence.
by far.
It has way.
Yeah.
I think because cars have gotten safer, automobile deaths have even gone down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Summer drink ads. Yeah.
Megan says, Steve, the summer, like you said, is hard. Do you guys see those summer drink ads? They drive me batty.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Boston says, remember what Bill Cooper said.
I don't.
And I'm sorry, I
don't
have no idea who Bill Cooper is.
Anybody that lives in a wet college town, the whole year is a summer drink ad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
You know, it is tough. Well, I did marketing for a college bar in the town that I grew up in, which was a college town. And there was a girl who left really early in the morning, and she got abducted and accosted and essayed and beaten and was left. They found her wandering half naked. She couldn't remember what had happened to her. She couldn't remember any of that. And after that, I thought, you know what? No amount of money is worth, like, I don't want my name tied to that kind of thing that happens, but it happened a lot. And, you know, it's sad, the predicaments that you can get into in that type of a situation. And so I vowed after that, I was like, I won't ever work for a place like that again. Meaning like a bar.
Yeah.
It paid good, but it wasn't worth it, you know?
Mr. Boston says, remember what Bill Cooper said. Remember what Albert Pike said about 3 wars. Bill Cooper worked for the Office of Naval Intelligence, and he said false flags make people beg for gun grabbing. Wisdom over wealth is important.
Yeah.
What does it mean by false flags? It means that guns, they want you to believe that guns kill more than alcohol. Is what a false flag is.
Yeah, well, I don't believe it for a minute. Not for a minute.
Hi, Bill. Glad you're here. Welcome in, Belle. Good to see you.
Then pick up a gun to kill somebody, by far and away, by far.
No.
You know, and every time you pick up a drink, you are taking your life into your own hands, you know, because you never know if your judgment's going to be so lapsed that you're going to get behind the wheel of a car, you know.
If we didn't have a military budget of $750 billion, rent might not be the income of 2 full-time workers before bills just to get rent paid all across the country.
Hey, you're talking to a vet, and I couldn't agree more.
I mean,
I don't remember who said cars are safer and deaths were going down. I think Steve said that. Somebody thought it was a good idea after we got back from Desert Storm to close the PX at 10 o'clock and not allow any alcohol sales on post after like 10 o'clock. So DUIs tripled.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they went and drank alone.
Okay. Or went out to drink at a bar.
Went out.
Or went out to get some more to bring back to the barracks.
Sure.
Yeah. 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 Way more people are picking up the booze bottle.
There are a lot of ride-sharing things at bars now.
That's good. But I mean, it's something, I guess.
It's something. I wouldn't call it great.
Yeah.
Well, you know what Steve said about fentanyl is the federal government will never, ever make a decision like that. They will leave it in the hands of the states, just like they did with marijuana.
Yeah. Because they can, unfortunately, they can profit off both sides of the law.
Yeah.
There is a day to present that way. That's kind of a cop-out argument by me saying that, but it's kind of like they can profit off it being legal. They can, and you've got your dispensaries who are not use banks yet because it's not exactly on the up and up legal. So it's a very, they have to have a slim margin and operate a certain way, I guess. So a lot of it goes out in payroll and resupplying instead of having any kind of investment capital that might be able to be taken from them.
Mm-hmm.
And we're driving, by the way, and so we may get a pocket here where all of a sudden I cut. If that happens, accept my apologies in advance and my peace, y'all.
Well, I just want to.
Sometimes I can talk all the way home and not, and sometimes we go around a corner and we lose the call. So
I just want to say, Seventh, you're really on my heart, and you know, I hope to see you tonight on the boat, and I'm so glad that you're here. And
yeah,
if there's anything that we can do, please let us know.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
because
I know this is a really tricky period for you right now, 7/7.
yeah. So
in any way we can.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I am just
sure I will call him tonight.
yeah. It just is shocking, you know, because I'm gonna be honest. And before I came to the lifeboat and everything, I wouldn't have had the experiences that I did. I wouldn't have everybody in my orbit that I do now. And I'm just so thankful that you're all here. I mean, I say it a lot, but I really learned so much from you all sharing your stories and being inspirational and being so open and honest. And, you know, I don't believe things just happen for no reason. And, I really think you all are amazing. I really do. To put your struggles out there and to see everything and to encourage each other and to be supportive and to welcome in people who don't know a whole lot about it, but you know, I'm learning.
Well, we need your perspective too on stuff that I haven't gone through.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean,
I learned a lot about my own story yesterday that I didn't know.
You know, I just and yes, through suffering does come wisdom. You know, it's really important. But
Seventh or Guilty says is a nickname Seventh or Guilty works, Megan. His last name is very similar to Guilty.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So that's not a profession of depression or anything.
There used to be a gin that looked like, was it Gilby's? It was a terribly cheap gin. Gilby's gin. It came in like a mouthwash bottle, except the cap wasn't quite big.
It was square. It had ridges. Gilby's diamond was red. Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Wasn't it plastic?
The fifths and the half gallons were.
Yeah.
Half gallons?
Oh yeah, if you see a handle on a liquor bottle, it's a half a gallon.
So funny. I didn't realize that.
Oh, wow. So half a jug of milk. Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
That'll mess you up in one sitting.
Megan says a lot of our stories are as different as they can be, having overlapping things, and we all have something to bring to the table, overlapping things in common.
100%, Megan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's, another thing that I'm learning too is that things might look different, but some things are fundamental,
We
Well,
might
I guess I don't know what you mean, but where the reference for the sentimental is.
fundamentals.
Fundamental. Oh, okay. Sorry. I heard it wrong.
We're on a
Yeah, I
quarter
agree
mile
with Megan here.
We're gonna
Seventh says
patch.
our overlapping stories have human in common. Yes, they do. Mr. Boston says, I hope veterans with opiate addictions now. That is so awesome. Megan says, Christy, I've really enjoyed hearing your story about your past. I have some things in common and applaud your strength. Thank you so much for that.
So much.
And yes, Mr. Boston says, I have saved countless soldiers from fentanyl.
Oh.
That's amazing.
Because it's reconnected.
So
Yeah.
they seized enough fentanyl to kill everybody in America, but they're still concentrating on guns.
It is.
That just
Mr. Boston. It is a death sentence.
Definitely a fact.
Yeah.
A lot of the issues in mental health.
Yeah.
That's just terrible.
I'm not a political person in as much as, but one of the things I liked I watched the first Republican debate because of my work. The people I work with, they like to watch it. It's not because I chose to watch it. But they asked Pence a question about if he thought that somebody should have a cognitive test that's serving now. And his answer said, I think they should have a cognitive test for everybody in Washington heights. And that really hit me. That was a great answer. Because that was true. That was the most honest answer.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mr. Boston says Mexican cartels run the drug trade for China.
Yeah, they do.
When I
heard that. Been hearing that.
So when I lived in El Paso, I've lived all over, but when I lived in El Paso, there was one day, so Michael gets paid, he would get paid on Thursdays, and I would go to Walmart and do what I needed to do. And one Thursday I went in and there was a line of people.
Maybe honestly, hold that phone high. That's your antenna.
I've never seen so many cars from Mexico and everything. It was just shocking to me.
Right.
And they warned us. They said, don't go out at night. Like, do not. And, Michael's ex-military, and they're like, it does not matter. It was really intense.
Thank you, Zelda.
The first part of that cut out because I think we were having some connection trouble.
Oh, I said when I lived in El Paso, there was a lot of people that would come up from Mexico. Like I seen a lot of Mexican license plates. And one day I went into Walmart. I had to send some money and do some things, and there was a huge long line of people waiting to send money across the border and stuff like that. And we would joke it was Mexican cartel payday, but I mean, it really, like, you had to be careful driving around because they told us like cars from Mexico would hit you on purpose. I mean, you really had to be like, El Paso was one of the most dangerous places I've ever lived. But it was scary. It was scary.
It's really interesting that the tables are finally coming down to not being prejudiced at all, that to presenting the fact that there really does need to be an honest format on what should be proper for crossing the border and what someone seeking asylum or citizenship from any entrance into the United States should go through. Not that it's,
everything right now is just so tricky.
It is tricky.
So tricky.
It's an interesting time.
Well,
it is, and I think there are people who look at the reality of the situation, and then there are people who get caught up in just towing certain lines, and it's tough. It's tough.
It is tough. There is the human element, but at the same time, there's the other exploitation element where it has to happen on a particular way because,
right.
Unfortunately, the human element is more likely to be exploited on both sides if there isn't a rigid set of rules.
Yeah.
Someone's going to get from Honduras or El Salvador to the United States. How many times do they strip search and have to pick their clothes up from a pile on the way in as they're handed over from group to group as they're fleeced on the way there?
Yeah.
You never know.
Right.
Well, this is getting cheerful.
Well, I'm just looking at the whole happy perspective of where we're at potentially. I mean, we can't turn a blind eye to where we are. That's true. We can't. As much, it's tough to watch the situation that's going on in Gaza and not have two thoughts on it.
Yeah. No idea how to think or feel.
It's tough to watch the situation in Ukraine and not realize that there were 3 or 4 different influences over the last 15 years that potentially ask more questions than they answer.
Oh, Mr. Boston has a few.
Yeah.
Thoughts, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. But we are about to approach calls go up 9 times out of 10. So does everybody feel like we've had a meeting? If anybody still needs a meeting, put a 2 in the chat. If you're good, put a 3.
I'm always sad when they close, but I've always had a meeting. I mean, I could do it for another hour, but I know you guys don't want to.
And there may be a time when we do that more, and that's certainly okay. We might even have meetings going in shifts.
We're trying with the 2 phones to broadcast this.
I'll leave this on a happy note, completely unrelated to anything we talked about.
I want to.
I was trying to curl my hair and do like this really pretty Farrah Fawcett thing, and I ended up looking like Barry Gibb. So I pulled it out. I was like, this is not the Farrah Fawcett, Joan Jett thing I was going for. I looked like Barry Gibb in Staying Alive, only not as good. Like his hair was still better. And I thought, can I please look like that in those pants one day? Like, have you seen that video? And I thought, we can't do this. So I had to
there are people in there are people in the chat who probably don't know who either one of those people are.
Well, I tried to do it and I ended up looking like Andy Gibb.
Google the video "Staying Alive" if you don't know who Barry Gibb is. He's the dude in the middle with the white pants and the good hair. Only, good for him, but not good for me.
We used to play nights on Broadway.
And my good news is they sent my pre-admission test for getting my knee surgery today.
Okay.
Nice.
So
Okay.
a week from today, right now, I will be in severe pain.
Are you getting a bionic knee?
Yes.
Sweet.
So I'll have a defibrillator, an artificial heart pump, and a titanium ankle, and a whatever the knee's made of.
Wow.
Nice.
And I also had a $6 million man lunchbox.
I had a $6 million man, a rocket ship, and the doll.
Nice.
Awesome.
Action figure, people would like for you to call it.
Okay, well, action figure. He looked about as big as my G.I. Joe. Rocket ship also came as operating table where they made him bionic.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know.
There was one where they combined the $6 million man with Bigfoot, and I stopped watching it. That was like jumping the shark on the days.
Yes.
That's where
I think we're about
We're losing you.
over at the top of the hill.
We're losing you. We got no audio.
Okay.
Peace.
I
We'll do the prayer twice tomorrow.
All right. Everybody have a good night. Seventh,
You too,
know
Chris.
you're loved and hang in, please.
I will call you later, Steve-O.
You guys have a good night.